Good morning. I'm Major DJ Gibb. That's spelled D.J.Gibb. I'm the Public Affairs Officer for the Utah National Guard, and I want to thank you for being here today. In a few moments, Major General Jeff Burton, Jeffburton, the Adjutant General for the Utah National Guard, will make a brief statement concerning the death of a Utah National Guard soldier. General Burton will be followed by Governor Gary Herbert, who has some comments that he would like to make as well. Following Governor Herbert's comments, Major General Burton will be available briefly to answer a few questions. Just a few ground rules to the press conference. If you would, keep your questions to the subject matter of the incident. If you would, remember that all comments here, they are on the record. Towards the end, I'll indicate how many more questions that we have time for. And if you would limit yourself to one question and maybe one follow-on question, that would be appropriate. If time permits, we may call on you again for any additional questions if we need. And if you would, please raise your hand until I acknowledge you and then state your name and affiliation for the record. And that way I can get back to you if there's any additional follow-up I can provide you. A copy of the biography and the press release that we are sending out immediately after this conference will be made available to you here on the table. And I'll send that out electronically as well, so you'll have that for your confirmation of records. At this moment, please take this time to silence your phone so it doesn't interrupt any of the video as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Major General Burton.
Thank you. I'm honored that we have our great governor here with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with heavy hearts and deep sadness that we announce the loss of one of our finest soldiers yesterday in Kabul, Afghanistan. In the early afternoon on Saturday, November 3rd, Major Brent Taylor, a member of the Utah National Guard, was killed in action in an apparent insider attack while serving with his unit there under the Operation Freedom Sentinel. Brent was a man of excellence, had done postgraduate work in international relations, highly educated, sitting mayor, multiple combat deployer. This was his fourth. And most importantly, was a loving husband and father of 7 children. Our thoughts and prayers are today with Brent's family, and particularly Jenny, his wife, and children, as we all together mourn the loss of this great officer and soldier. He was also serving under a NATO operation in Afghanistan called Resolute Support. Major Taylor was not serving with any other Utah National Guardsmen at the time of his death. He was not serving with any Utah National Guard units at the time of his death, but was supporting Special Operations Forces in the region. Major Taylor's desire to serve his country in his multiple deployments are a testament to the character of this man and the motivation to preserve the freedoms that you and I enjoy as Americans. And for me personally, Brent typified really the citizen soldier who served so diligently in his community, as well as felt this call to wear a uniform and serve wherever the nation needed him to go. He's a heavy loss for us, and he'll be missed. Incidents surrounding Major Taylor's death are currently under investigation. Major Taylor remains an active part of our lives, even though he's not with us right now. The initial reports indicate that the attacker was a member of the Afghan National Defense and Security Forces, and it also reports that this individual that fired upon Major Taylor was killed immediately by Afghan forces after the event. Major Taylor's remains will be arriving at Dover Air Force Base tomorrow, November 4th at 9:45 p.m., and we will be there to meet him. Additionally, details regarding his dignified transfer and funeral arrangements will be available to you as soon as we have them. We don't have those as yet. We would ask the media at this time, currently right now, to just refrain from contacting the family there in mourning, and give them a little time out of respect for them and their privacy. If you have any questions following this press conference, Major Gibb, who you met a moment ago, will be available here to answer those. Now it's my honor to introduce our great governor, Gary R. Herbert, to give some comments.
Well, thank you, General Burton. This is a sad day for Utah, for America. The loss of any of our soldiers, men and women in uniform, is a tough thing to do. I want to make just a couple of observations if I could. One, we're having a press conference here today, and under protocol, this is where the announcement of the death of this soldier would be made. But we live in kind of a different time than maybe when policy was made by our military people with the social media. So things have gotten out into the social media that we're confirming here today. But we do have a desire to follow protocol as designed by our military personnel, and any lapses of that have been just inadvertent and not by design. Certainly, I echo what General Burton says, that the most important thing is support of the family, his wife Jenny and their 7 children. You can imagine a young family, 39 years of age for the Major, Taylor, and it's a tough burden for them now to have to go forward with. And so we are calling upon everybody that's associated with the family to, in fact, give them the support they need at this difficult time in a very appropriate way. And again, having the media respect their privacy at this time. There'll be other opportunities in the coming days to probably have more discussion, but we'll let them decide that themselves as the family. We'd ask for your respect for that. We have here members of the City Council of North Ogden. Major Brent Taylor was not only a military person who'd served for a number of years in the military, but was also mayor of North Ogden. I knew him as much in that capacity as I knew him as part of our National Guard. We have over 7,000 members. As the Commander-in-Chief, it's hard to know them all. But I did know Mayor Taylor is a great mayor of North Ogden and doing great work. Again, an observation that I would make is that we have people that talk all the times about service. And in his own Facebook, when he was deployed here his 4th time, twice to Iraq, this is his 2nd time to Afghanistan. On his Facebook page, he noted, I'm going to take a leave of absence from the city he loved to go help people that he loved in Afghanistan. He was the personification of love of God, family, and country. I do note that he volunteered. He was in fact discouraged. You've done enough. You've done your part. And yet he wanted to go back, and with the support of his good wife Jenny and their family, because they thought they could do some good in Afghanistan, to help the people be liberated, to have the freedoms that we enjoy and too often here in America and here in Utah take for granted. That's an admirable quality that we all ought to emulate. What can we do to help our fellow man? And love them in spite of maybe some of the difficult circumstances and those that surround them with evil. He was there to say, what can we do to help liberate, help them to help themselves? That's an admirable trait of service that we all ought to try to emulate. Lastly, the war on terror has been a difficult war for us as Americans. It's been excruciatingly long. It's hard to identify who the enemy is. It makes it tough on our military. It makes it tough on us how to develop policy as a country. And we deploy people in dangerous places. And our National Guardsmen and men and women go there to help preserve the peace, protect the people that they serve there, as well as represent our country. Mayor Taylor went to do that very thing, to represent his country and his family and our state, and did that with what can I do to, in fact, help my fellow men have a better life. Unselfish service is what our National Guards people represent. Because we've had some winding down of our involvement in the Middle East, we forget, I think, as Utahns, as Americans, we're sending people into very difficult situations. They're being sent into harm's way, and casualties still occur, as we see here today. So I hope that we understand that aspect of those who wear the uniform, have an appreciation for their willingness to volunteer, to say, I don't need to go, but I will go. He did that not only in the military, he did it in his service to the city of North Ogden. He didn't need to do it, but he did. His preparation, his work on his education, he's a PhD candidate, and trying to make sure that his preparation allowed him to serve more effectively in whatever capacity the good Lord would have him to be. That was the attitude of Major Taylor. That was the attitude of Mayor Taylor. And it's a great loss to all of us here in not only the military that we represent here today, but the people of Utah, 3.2 million people. We offer our best wishes and condolences to the Taylor family. And let us all recommit ourselves to serve our fellow man, not because we have to, because we want to, because we love our fellow Americans, our fellow community members, and we can do our part in emulation of Major Taylor. So thank you very much for covering this today, and our best wishes to the family.